some reason I can't access my Gmail. Oh, we are live. Okay.
All right, thumbs up. Let's do this.
Seriously, it doesn't give you that, sound anymore. It just says
What?
live.
You
And
figured they would give you a three, two,
yeah, I was gonna
one,
say there's no
go.
countdown on a Google Hangout to let you know. Oh, by the way, you're broadcasting to the internet.
Yes. Anyway, hi guys. And besides us just complaining about that, welcome to the weekly hangout. And with me, I have the usual cast of characters. I'm going to start off with the guy right next to me, but probably on the other side, if you're watching, is Mr. BW1 Warren Bowman. How's it going, man?
Going good, man. Let's do this.
Yes, Warren's a little bit under the weather, so he's going to be using some hand signals, interpretive dance. He might break dance too. Actually, if he's sick, he shouldn't be break dancing. So hand signals is okay. Exactly. And next up, we have Mr. Juan Bagnell from Some Gadget Guy. How's it going, Juan?
Going well, man. West Coast represent.
All right, cool. Hey guys, the Q&A is open, and also you can comment in on the video itself. So let's kick it off this week. First thing first, Xbox One price drop. Now, we had a hangout with BW1 this week talking about that, but Microsoft had some announcements. It looks like they threw out a lot of announcements before E3, maybe just to focus on games and also to lighten the load. But the Xbox One has a new SKU. I won't call it a price drop because even though I said a price drop in the title,
It is technically a new skill.
it's a new SKU. Yes, and the SKU basically is an Xbox One without Kinect for $399. There's no idea on what the Kinect price will be. Standalone, because Microsoft said that will be available in the fall if you want to get a standalone Kinect. But it's $399, and also they had mentioned that Xbox Live Gold will not have a separation between church and state. So things like Hulu and
Separation with church and state. Wow.
That was adorable.
things like Hulu and Netflix you can now watch with Xbox Live Silver. So thoughts?
I don't think it's called silver anymore. I think they're just having a.
Yeah,
You
Xbox
get your Xbox, and here you go, and what the should have been from the beginning. And then if you want the extra stuff, we give you this little,
The Gold.
Xbox Live Gold, which we have no idea what the pricing is going to be on that because I'm pretty sure it's going to change.
Yeah, it's gonna change, but
It's going
we'll
to piss
see.
off a lot of us that paid up to 2 years already on the damn thing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we'll see what happens. But I want to get your thoughts, Swan, since myself and Warren, we've already talked about this.
Man, I'm torn on it. From a business perspective, I think this is absolutely a smart play. Microsoft has been challenged by the $100 price difference between the PS4 and the Xbox One since launch because it's too easy for the media to focus on. They're both game consoles and one's $100 more, So that talking point's gone now, but it comes at the expense of some of the user base goodwill. Because people that have already invested in the Xbox One did so sort of with a tacit agreement that this is the way the Xbox was going to be sold. It's sold with Kinect. Kinect is a part of the Xbox. And that's how we're going to get developers on board because every Xbox is going to have Kinect. And now, I mean, we kind of knew that this was going to come at some point, a reduced priced Xbox minus Kinect, but now we've sort of ripped that band-aid off and the Emperor's wearing no clothes or whatever bad metaphor you want to use to describe the situation. And I can absolutely understand why some members of the Xbox community are upset by this because now they've had to pony up the $100 price difference for this gesture-based control device that may or may not be supported with third-party developers in future games now because it's not going to be a standard piece of equipment. So I'm a little mixed on it. I mean, Microsoft had to do something to close this gap that they've had in console sales between them and Sony, but in true Microsoft fashion, I think they've done a horrible job of communicating with their fans, communicating with potential customers and consumers, and their reasoning for why they're doing this now is somewhat specious because we all know they're trying to make up some of the sales deficit from Sony getting the lead by releasing sooner.
Um, I know, I definitely agree, but there's one thing that actually popped into mind just because of some things I saw the last 2 days. Microsoft has been ramping up a lot of developer support and build up for Cortana on Windows, which leads me to believe that I think the the Kinect experience will be purely an entertainment. When I mean entertainment, I mean, TV as well as some of those other Cortana features into it.
I agree that like
Yeah.
the core idea of a computer in your living room is to have the Star Trek computer in your living room,
The room,
you
yeah.
know, or Cortana in your living room, and I totally agree with that. But with the narratives that we've been given, Sony's all about the games and Microsoft's only about entertainment and 720p upscale and 900p on the PS4 and all of these buzz things that we've been throwing out there. I still think that there was some idea that Kinect would become a main part of the gaming experience, even if it's not, I'm going to get up and move around, because no one wants that in a gaming experience. I want to sit and I want to have a controller.
Come on, you want to work out?
No, I don't. When it's time to work out, I work out, and I work out to Netflix. It's that the idea of like, voice controls could maybe become a part of the Xbox gaming experience to a better degree, or while I'm sitting, if it's tracking me, or if it can see I'm smiling or frowning, those little aspects of it could become really interesting things to add to the gaming experience. But it seems like that's really not going to be supported if developers can't count on the Kinect being a part of that experience. Now, all of the entertainment stuff, oh yeah, absolutely. That is a core piece of the living room computer technology experience that Microsoft is trying to create. But someone who's looking at that $100 price difference probably doesn't care about that as much, So
Yeah.
that's the hit that Microsoft is taking there. And now we just need to see if they're going to follow through on continuing to support games that utilize what the Kinect has to offer.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Any thoughts, Warren, you want to add? I know we've talked about this, on your Hangout, but if you can lay some wisdom and some hand signals, that would be great.
I kind of, we kind of discussed this pretty much in thorough detail, kind of how our feelings about this other jump puts Kinect in a very awkward position, I think, especially for developers. I think it's going to lead it away from gaming in the end of the day and put it into other aspects that it's going to work very well for. I think in the gaming in the living room, it's just not there for the space for it. The core gaming community will not allow it to get to that point. They just won't. They want controller, game, 1080p. That's it, and the same 5 damn first-person shooters every year. They think they don't, but they do. I mean,
that's what they really do.
Innovation, my ass. The 90% of you want innovation, my ass. You don't want that. The sales numbers show it. They've been showing it for a while. But I think the it's disappointing because one thought I think of is that I almost wished all 3 of these consoles came out at 3 separate years instead of having to compete against each other, because it turns into this little pissing war about who sold what right away. And I think that hurts a lot of times, a lot of the ideas, a lot of the software they may put out. We get a lot of unfinished stuff. We have to wait on things. Imagine if the Xbox sat down and built hype for a year and just let here's the Xbox One. We're telling you what it is. Better yet, you let Sony launch their thing on whatever day, and on the same day or the week before, you announce your Xbox One and you built hype for a year on that, because you already have a solid 360 fan base. It's already there. And you build up and you say, you see all these features Sony's talking about, so we'll have that and it'll be done by the time it comes out. And all those, extra things will be done by the time it comes out. And then they'll have their period in time. And I just think it almost would have benefited them better. But they can't do that because media loves who's selling the most consoles.
Yeah, they've got to turn it into a fight.
You got to turn it into a fight, and I think the fight screws up, honestly, how good the consoles could be at launch.
No.
The games we could get at launch. What software should be done. Like, think about this. Neither one of these consoles had Twitch, I think, available in the beginning, and neither one had any type of backwards compatibility. I think neither one really still do yet to this day. Neither one has. They had a whole bunch of features missing long before, and they got to roll them out in updates and advertise these updates as big things instead of giving time to be able to develop the console, fully put it out there, have time to market. Like, it would have been different if the two of them were done at the same time and they were both at their peak and they released at the same time. That'd be pretty cool. But it kind of felt that neither one was at the finish point when they were really coming out. They were good enough to get into the market, and we'll just send out updates and finish it later, and then we'll just worry about the whole battle war between we sold 7 million, you sold 5 million. How many did you sell this quarter versus that quarter? How many sold this week versus that week? And it's just annoying. I think it just hurts more than helps.
Yeah, true. We have a couple of questions and comments here from OG Wilson. What's up, OG?
What's up, OG?
Hope you guys are having a good Saturday. Going to be playing Hearthstone while watching. Enjoy, but pay attention.
What's Hearthstone? I haven't heard of that.
I haven't played this part. Yeah, let us know. Yeah, what is Hearthstone? Is it an RPG?
Is it Hearthstone?
Is it? Yeah, could be. Could be Hearthstone. And then he asked a question which we are answering pretty much now. Is like, what do you guys think about Microsoft getting flack from people who are saying they shouldn't have backtracked but kept on asking for the option of buying an Xbox One without Kinect, and now that they have delivered, they are being crucified for it? Yes, do it. Damned if you don't, damned if you do. That's the situation of the business at the end. I think, like you said, to some of Warren's point is, if this was a truly finished console, like at launch, where everything Microsoft wanted to do was there, then that's a different case. But one of the interesting things I've been reading and seeing is that you might see a comeback from Kinect in a different way because of Cortana, because Kinect is very system heavy on the Xbox. Cortana is very system heavy on the server. And since the Xbox One is truly built to run off Microsoft servers rather than be on system itself, that having that transition to Cortana might actually do a whole lot of good for the Xbox One in the long run than necessarily having Kinect itself as the main system feature.
Well, and I just want to point out something in the whole, because I've heard this before. Even guys like Jeff Kanata were posting this.
Jeff Kanata, shout out to
Totally Rad Show.
Totally Rad Show.
That they've been doing right now. But even he tweeted something similar, like, oh, well, everyone was complaining when they didn't offer the Kinect, and now everyone's complaining that they offer an Xbox without the Kinect. And I really think that timing is very important when you're looking at what people were complaining about. So at launch, when you've got a $500 console and there's no second tier, and the Microsoft messaging at that time, remember, was, oh, we have an option for cheap-ass players. It's the Xbox 360.
Yeah.
That was what we were upset about. Flash forward, 6, 7, 8 months. No, wait. When was the launch of the Xbox 360? It's 6 months. Flash forward 6 months, and what we're complaining about are the people who are complaining are people who already own the Xbox One. Who might have purchased a cheaper Xbox One if they'd had the option to at launch. And so those are two very different complaints. So it's not the same audience that's complaining about, oh, I'm mad that they don't offer one without a Kinect, and now that they do offer one, I'm the same person with the same complaints, and I'm mad that they do offer it now. That's not happening.
Well, yeah, true to your point. A couple of comments again from OG and Matt. So Matt Copeland says Hearthstone is Elder Scroll Online card game, and OG said the same thing too. So,
dig it. Okay.
Yeah, that is cool. And then OG says the funny thing about Sales Fight is that although Microsoft is behind right now, they're still doing far better than they did with the 360 in the same time period. That is very true. And Microsoft is doing great, even though everyone would have you believe different. That's very
true, and that's something we emphasize in our hangout is that they're doing well. Even though they're seeing Sony has the same about 2 to 3 million buffer they had when they came out a week earlier. It hasn't changed that much. They've been keeping both consoles essentially been keeping pace with one another. It's Sony keeping ahead and not allowing Microsoft to get that little jump ahead.
Yeah.
And I really think, like, when we're discussing stuff like this, it's almost never from the consumer or the gamer's perspective that we're this concerned. It's whether or not Microsoft can live up to the unrealistic expectations placed on them by analysts and shareholders. And I think this is largely a response to Titanfall not moving as many Xbox Ones as I think those analysts wanted Microsoft to move.
Yeah, that's
a realistic number, and you think of analysts multiplied by 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. There was no way it was going to move that much. Number one, the launch period was very off, in March. You know, you don't move that many consoles. I was surprised he actually still did that 1 million push, which means he probably pushed about, you know, a quarter of those in Xbox Ones just purely for the console itself. So I mean, I think it's still solid. The thing that I will agree that we will miss though is like a game like Destiny, which I won't play. I will review it, but I don't think I'll play and enjoy it because I don't like those kind of games. But if I had, I can think of the connectabilities where, you know, you're going on a team and I don't want to press a button to send my teammates somewhere. I can just tell them to go a different direction. You know, I can call out somebody and say, hey, you know, teammate number 5, go to the right, flank him and shoot, because that's what you do in real life if you're actually in the military, right? You know, so that's the kind of stuff I would love to see, which, you know, you're not going to see anymore because or ever anyway, because Connect is now separated altogether. But it'll be interesting to see if there's any comeback with Cortana down the line, you know, just because, you know, that's going to be a big buzz once Cortana hits the Xbox One, and maybe Microsoft can do some stuff internally. I mean, they do have the money to at least pay a couple of developers to make a few things that would raise eyebrows, so to speak. So, you know, we'll see. Okay, so enough of that Xbox One stuff, which we've spoken about.
Oh,
the
real quick,
time.
and we don't have to spend a lot of time on it. I just wanted to get
no
to Watch Dogs.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Because and for very much the same reasons that you were talking about, like Destiny, I'm not a hardcore gamer anymore, and I was thinking about picking up Watch Dogs, and then sort of the gamer sphere, especially the PC Master Race subreddit, exploded.
Yep.
When we got the final frame rate and resolution numbers on Watch Dogs.
So let me before Warren jumps, let me preface by saying this: that guys, my Watch Dog review will be on this QHD display on a PC, just to let you know, because after all the flack and rubbish, let's just call it rubbish, I've heard from PS3 fanboys, oh, Watch Dogs is going to be 1080p. It's 900p, 900. You know what? If it's 900, it's the same thing as 720p as far as I'm concerned. It was 724, whatever the number is for the Xbox. Both locked at 30 frames per second. You know, to me, I mean,
does the game look like shit? No, then stop complaining.
No, exactly. But the thing is, this is that from the very get-go, when we saw the first demo of Watch Dogs, that was running on a PC.
Yep.
That
like
demo
demos.
that demo that was actively playing, and the real-time demo was on PC, and we all knew deep down in your soul that it was PC graphics, that your Xbox and PS4 will never get there, but you fooled yourself, and now sucks. Get Watch Dog on PC.
I wouldn't say never. It's just that these consoles just came out that all have these 1080p graphics, and it's going to take some time for developers to get used to be able to push all that hardware. It's not something instantly you can do. It's like, oh, instantly, let's just make this work. It doesn't work that way. It works that way on a PC, but we're dealing with hardware that they're not used to developing for. It's not going to instantly work that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree. So those are our thoughts. Anything you want to add, Juan?
Well, I mean, like, if I'm looking at whether or not I'm going to throw $300, $400, $500 at another box to put under my TV, my next big purchase is going to be a 4K TV. And it makes me a little twitchy that we're still having conversations with this next gen era of gaming about. I mean, because I totally agree with Warren. It takes a couple games into that first year or 2 years before developers really have a good handle on how to squeeze out all of the juice of a next gen console. But I'm looking at consoles that are still having trouble getting up to 1080p. And there's been no official word on what 4K content these things will be able to produce, even if it's just streaming Ultra HD Netflix. And so that makes me really gun-shy to put money down on a console when I don't know. And that $400 or $500 could go towards me building a small form factor PC to put under my TV.
Yeah, true. I definitely agree. I think in terms of streaming, they will both be able to handle it. The hardware specs alone, it just means everything will shut down.
I think so, but it's the thing that I get wary when I've been promised things like that in the past before. Companies haven't delivered. I'm not saying I'm not going to get one. I'm saying it gives me pause.
Yeah. No, that is very true, and it's sad because in terms of 4K gaming, I wouldn't say 100%, but I would say there's a high possibility we will not see it in this generation. Because looking at those hardware specs myself and understanding how 4K basically tasks your system, I mean, you just shutting down everything just to play. To me, I
Right.
think frame per frame at 4K. So it's going to take a lot of trickery. They might be able to do it. We'll see. But I don't think this generation, unless of
You might
course,
see some 2K gaming. I think that
yeah,
we might see a little bit of that, but
yeah,
4K gaming, and it's not going to come, I think, until another 5 years or so. I think we got to be able to play those in the same speed and the same ability that we're playing
yeah,
current games
yeah.
now.
Yeah, it's very true. And I
It's
think
just not there
the
yet.
other thing to note is this: is that, I know Warren made a point that that your hangout, you said, last generation we're doing 1080p solid. Now we can't even do 1080p solid, which is true. But the thing is, this is where developers tend to bite themselves in the foot. You've got more power, so they add more polygons and more pixels and more everything, and it's harder to push that back to 1080p. It's not taking what you did before, right? And just saying that at 1080p.
Also, a lot of people don't understand when they develop these games, they're at a super high res max resolution that they're developing these models and games on, and they crunch it down, and they
Yeah,
crunch it down, and they crunch it down. You got to get it down to the right size to be able to be playable.
yeah, it's very true. So there's a lot there. OG Wilson says, I'm so glad Ubisoft and the developers behind Witcher 3 are calling everyone out on resolution gauge. People are going as far as saying they'll cancel their pre-orders just because the PS4 version is 900p. It's ridiculous.
It's
And
called gamers. They don't think right, spell or do
well,
math well.
and again, I mean, if you know your target market here, if you know your audience, you know that they can be really twitchy. So from the beginning, if you're not sure if your game is going to come out at certain specs, because
Don't
they
say
care
it.
about, don't say it. Don't say this is what we're going to do. Just don't.
Right now,
Don't have
Mario
that
Kart Wii
conversation.
U is the only game running at 1080p and 60 frames per second. It's the fastest running game out right now on any
Uh,
next gen console.
no. Forza is 60 also at 1080.
Oh, it's Forza.
Yeah, Forza is
I didn't
60.
know that.
Yeah, Forza is 60 at 1080 because that's all run through Microsoft Azure servers.
Ah,
That's what Microsoft has been trying to push with the Xbox One. And
that makes
to
sense
me,
then.
if they do that very well, it will be the easiest way for developers to do stuff on their
Yep.
games. So, but I know that's the only one because that game looks gorgeous and it runs very well. And I was like, is this 1080?
I almost
And
got that game, but then I don't play racing games often
racing.
enough to.
Yeah,
Although I got my Amazon Fire TV and I do play the heck out of that Asphalt 8 game.
yeah.
That's actually kind of fun.
Yeah, it is fun. So anyway, that's pretty much the Xbox, guys. Let's move on to our next topic. Basically, a phone debuted this week. It's on that budget category. It is the Moto E. Motorola announced the Moto E
Moto E,
on Tuesday.
low range champion.
Yeah, low range champion. So I wanted to ask you guys thoughts on the device, what you guys think. And I know you guys weren't there to sample the device, but just your general thoughts on what Motorola put out.
I'll let Warren go first,
Yeah.
unless he doesn't want to go first.
No, I'm just using hand signals.
Okay.
That is to be expected of Warren, who does not care for anything that is low end.
No, low end I'm sorry, I cannot justify that phone being 129 and the Moto E or the Moto G, the one above it being $200, and tell somebody not to save the money and just go ahead and get the better damn phone. I mean, I just can't. It's just like, come on, man. If you're gonna release this, it needs to be under $100. Even if it's just $90, I can justify 90. Not 89.99, fine. 99.99, fine. 129.99, no. Just no.
Well, and I almost have to wonder, because I don't disagree with Warren, but I almost have to wonder if the pricing that we see at 129 is to reflect that it's going to have that magical 99.99 euro price point.
It might be, but
that
I think it's also profitability on this.
Oh no, I totally understand that, but whenever we've seen those moves, like with the Nokia, their pricing came out in euro. It was 89 euro, 99 euro.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of wondering, this is obviously not a phone that they're expecting to be super popular here in the United States, especially after the refresh to the Moto G, including
LTE.
And United States LTE bands.
And yeah.
Side
That's
note,
kind of what.
I just want to bring a quick side because this is kind of funny. You know, we were talking about that Hearthstone game. Google has an app called Google Surveys where they send you a notification, you take a survey to give you Google Play credit. One of them was about a Blizzard game, and Hearthstone comes up. Google is all everywhere.
Exactly right. This is through our Hangout. Really, guys, you spying on us. Like, you know what? They've been spying on us all along, taking all our good ideas. If we know that. But anyway, Juan, go ahead. Sorry, you were saying.
But I think ultimately, this is obviously not a phone for me. This is not a phone that I'm going to enjoy using. I'm going to try and get my hands on one to review, and I might just buy one outright and give it away. But I'm always going to be excited to see companies try and deliver ultra low-end entry-level hardware that doesn't punish the user for buying a cheap phone. Maybe one of the most exciting things that I think Nokia did was delivering on the Lumia 520, and I don't see any other Android manufacturer trying to recreate that experience aside from Motorola. And so if that's where Motorola gets its groove back and makes Lenovo a lot of money, then I'm gonna be all for it, even we can categorically say this is not a phone for me.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely agree, because during the press briefing I went to, and this is the Moto E here, there's no flash and there's no front-facing camera. There were a lot of key things that you're clearly right. This phone is not for the U.S., even though it's offered here in the U.S., and that's why that pricing reflects that. Because one of the key markets he talked about was Brazil. Really was Brazil, and this was also timely because of the World Cup, because the Moto G is the highest selling smartphone in Brazil. That in South America, that market. Like, so Motorola is trying to find its niches where they can go to, and also places in Europe they're doing well. It's almost like, we have to offer in the US. Yeah, fine, we'll do that. But when you use this device at 129, the performance is almost identical to the Moto G. Now, when you're playing games, that's a completely different case entirely.
Yeah.
So that's not what this phone is for. But general Android performance, checking email, multiple tasks, but you think the thing will actually slow down. It is almost close to stock. We're asking them there, like, is this stock Android? You're like, it is almost stock. Like, he's like, we could call it stock Android, but we have one or two things there, like, in the background that we wanted to put in, but it's the closest thing to stock. So it runs very smooth on that aspect. And for anyone who's looking for, in the US, this is the kind of phone you buy for grandma. If you want to get her, or even your mom, if you want to get her to Android, say, okay, you know what, something cheap, I know I won't regret, and if you lose it and you don't like it, we can move on with life, right? Mm-hmm. If you have kids, they're in not high school, but like in elementary school, they need a phone, right here.
When I get my burn notice and I have to do cool spy stuff and I just need a disposable phone.
Disposable, yeah, exactly.
Right,
like a prepaid.
Yeah, but
that actor's from Boston, actually, the main character.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but the emerging markets, this is a solid. I like the performance. I like all it does. It doesn't have a flash, and it records at less than 720p, which I don't know why it's the same camera as the Moto G. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the chipset just doesn't support it because it's a Snapdragon 200 on there. But in terms of general performance, I have no qualm. I'm kind of with you there, Juan. Is the fact that Motorola has actually taken the Google, budget phone idea and really given us a budget phone.
That's cool.
And that 129 price point, I understand it, because if you look at the Euro aspect pricing, and also if you look at them trying to make a profit, it's going to be under $100 in, a couple of months. It's going to be under $100. Yeah, maybe a couple of weeks. But also, this is for them. I think this is also for them for the World Cup. A lot of people are going to be in Brazil. A lot of people are going to buy phones quickly in Brazil.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so this is a way for them to try and capitalize and then double down on the market.
This is something that they can outsell Samsung in, which I think Samsung they sponsor the World Cup too, don't they?
Yeah, they sponsor the World Cup.
But this is another way that they can kind of beat them in and kind of be that unofficial phone of the World Cup.
I'm really surprised that with Samsung's parts bin, we haven't seen them release a Galaxy S2 Mini at $150 or something like that.
I think it's just not their thing. I think it's just not their thing, really. It's like, if you're doing well on one thing, and then we know they like to get into a bunch of other things, I think it's just not their
Their cup of tea.
their cup of tea to be, and I think they like offering high-end and mid-range devices, and that's where they're making their money at. Trying to spend money to make money on the low end might be something that might not, the math might not add up well for them.
I just don't understand people who don't learn lessons from history, though, because if we look at Apple's plays recently, that Android got traction in the low and mid-range, and the exciting growth where all of these new smartphone users are going to come from are all in the entry level and mid-range, and I just don't get it. I just don't get Samsung not having some solution.
I can probably guess partly why. And hey, Lex, hey, thanks for joining in.
No problem, how you guys doing?
Looking real intellectual today.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what's going on with that head, but
Lex, can we have your lower third at some point? You know, put that in.
You know, so that we know who you are and where can we.
He's a cast member from a different world.
I've tried to fix it so many times that
He is a cast member from a different world and crossed over into the Cosby Show.
So one of the things I think
He's
why
too young to know
Samsung
that.
Samsung doesn't have a low end is I think TouchWiz is partly the issue. I really think that TouchWiz running because Samsung wants all its services, or at least all its feature sets, so you get that Galaxy. You know, or not
across the board.
Across the board. And if you can't run it effectively, maybe they might come out with something on the Snapdragon 400 and take out a few things out there. But I think we might see it, but it will be probably later on this year and not necessarily now.
Now that you say that, there's probably some of the difficulties with Apple trying to release a lower end iPhone. iOS has a ton of features. They got to have capable hardware to be able to push that.
Yeah.
And there's a certain price point that they can't just go below.
Yeah, and since Apple makes its own chipsets and doesn't have the access to Qualcomm's varied chipsets, that's where the problem is. Because all the Apple chipsets, we all know each time you put a new version of iOS on an older iPhone, it just slows
down.
Exactly.
Funny thing, OG Wilson says intellectual for Lex.
Heyo.
And he's gonna make that a Twitter handle now.
Not at all, not at all.
We're gonna see everything change on his social media to intellectual.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think overall the Moto X, sorry, not Moto X. You see, it's almost that similar to the Moto GX line.
They all look exactly the same.
Same, but the performance on this phone is very nice. I mean, you know, I think it's one of those devices that. They were smart in releasing because no one has done anything on there. They're looking at that South American market, especially the walk up around the corner. They're going to sell a lot just because somebody needs a burner phone while you're in Brazil. They're going to be, 500,000 people in Brazil for the World Cup. So you might as well just capitalize on that and get some sales out there. And the fact that the Moto G is the highest selling phone in Brazil means that most people are going to be very, warm up to buying this kind of device. And then you have, I believe they mentioned that there will be versions with mobile TV in Brazil and China, a dual SIM, things like that.
Are these customizable? Can you change the covers and stuff like that?
Yeah, you can change the back covers. You can go pick up a back cover.
Do they already have prepared, in which I'm surprised they didn't show?
I think
flags, like different soccer teams' colors.
No, they do not have those, and I think that has to do with FIFA licensing. That is why, and somebody else probably.
But you can still have a country's flag on the back of it.
Yeah, you can probably do.
You only need like 4 of them. You need France, Italy, Argentina, and Spain, and the U.S. for the people that are gonna pretend that we care. Yeah, this is the time of the year again. We Americans, we all care about soccer. Trust me, we get fall. We're all soccer fans all of a sudden. I want to be Go Tico and USA every day. Woo! Lord, don't let us win a World Cup.
Warren's very toxic.
Don't let us do that.
Yeah.
We will think we're the kings of the world.
Yes, I definitely agree.
We'll tie it in some way to make fun of Russia and Putin in some damn way.
But especially like after Putin's amazing hockey skills were on display recently.
Yeah.
Woo!
Let's not talk about hockey. Hockey's not a very good thing to talk about right now.
Yeah. The other thing too is, well, since we are talking about small devices, HTC announced the HTC One Mini 2.
And next. Next topic.
And okay, can somebody help me out with the specs here on this device? Because I kind of just was like, okay, it's similar to what we had last year.
Well, no, but it's not. That's what's so strange.
Yeah.
It's the Qualcomm 400 quad core.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
okay, that's pretty decent. 720p screen, 4.5-inch diagonal. The boom sound front-facing speakers. It does not use the dual camera, but this is what really surprised me is that it's using a 13 megapixel rear shooter as opposed to every other phone that they've put out using that 4 ultra pixel sensor. I'm really kind of surprised by that specifically. I think it's a 2100 milliamp hour battery, which is pretty good for a phone that size.
Yeah.
But I put out some informal polls like on Twitter and my Google Plus page, just asking people, considering the price point that a mid-range phone comes at, and considering that you can buy an unlocked M7 for around $450 now, if given the choice, which one would you pick up? And most people veer towards the M7.
How much is the One Mini?
We don't have actual pricing yet.
Okay, because
I
I
don't have pricing or availability yet. But the one advantage I think that the HTC One Mini 2, an awkward name, would be that it also has an SD card slot, so you can add an SD card to the Mini 2. But it's what I've been saying for a while now, where mid-range phones are getting hammered right now, man. When we're talking about the Moto E as an entry-level device, and then last year's premier flagship phone devalues super fast. I mean, prices fall on those top-end phones really quickly.
Yeah.
That putting a lot of effort and engineering and talent behind a mid-range phone right now, I don't think is the wisest business move anymore.
No, it is not wise at all.
Better to repackage last year's.
Because also you can look at the screen. You know, you can get a 4.5-inch 720p screen on the Mini 2, or you can get a 4.7-inch 1080p screen on the M7. And that 0.2 on the diagonal isn't going to make a profound difference in hand feel. You know, it's not like the Mini 2 is going to feel so much smaller than the M7.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Lex? Intellectual?
Intellectual flex. No, actually, I agree. I mean, I'm surprised by the 13 megapixel camera, though. I mean, it kind of just doesn't make sense to me why you would put a 4 megapixel ultra pixel camera on your flagship device to promote a 13 megapixel on an HTC One Mini 2. On top of the name, that's kind of confusing. On top of that, so, but we were actually on Twitter with Juan and talking about would you rather have the M7 or the One Mini 2, and I would rather have the M7. I mean, the price difference probably won't be that much now because of the longevity of the device, and the specs are a huge bump from the Mini 2, so I don't see incentive for someone to get the Mini 2.
I agree.
Especially when the price is probably going to be within $50 of each other.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me.
If not the Mini 2 being more expensive at launch.
Probably. No, I definitely agree there. To me, it kind of harkens back to HTC falling into its bad habits. You know, the the Harman Kardon edition of the M8 was a nice addition, you know, in there, and say, you know what, you're using some of that Clarify software, which I actually got to listen to at CES. It's actually pretty good. The software they're using on there. I'm like, all right, hopefully all your phones in the future will use this stuff. But then the Mini doesn't have that software in there, you know? I'm like, fine, even if you don't have the boom sound speakers, but the Clarify software actually helps you improve your MP3 sound because it tries to fill in the gaps in MP3 erosion. Why don't you, if you have it on one system, why don't you just make it across the board on all your devices?
Well, there is rumors about an HTC One remix coming out for Verizon Wireless.
No.
So, I don't know what that is, but hopefully it's along the lines of the Harman Kardon edition for Sprint. It's just a different branded name.
I think this is a step in the wrong direction for HTC.
Yeah.
With the HTC One, they did such a great job of not having carrier-branded weird exclusives, like Sprint with the Evo line. You know, they finally got away from Sprint's version does this and AT&T's version does that, and it's just one global platform. And I kind of see them veering back to that carrier fragmentation again.
No, I agree. I mean, to me, if you do the Harman Kardon edition on Sprint, okay, that's fine. And the One Mini should just have a Harman Kardon all the way through. And then, you know, whatever other device you release, so that it's uniform and say, okay, you know, we were testing it out on Sprint, people liked it, so we wanted to put it all across the board. But now that you're going to have, then again, it's HTC, you know, falling back into the old bag of tricks, which I don't understand why. And then, of course, we know there's a plastic version of the M8 coming out too. So,
Yeah, I just caught another rumor on that. Apparently, there's a leaked photo of it coming out in a colored plastic or something.
And you got the HTC One Prime that's going to be coming out as well. So it's just like a whole mixture of weird products.
Failure.
Doesn't make sense to me. And why not go the Sony route and pack the One Mini with the same specs as the M8? You know,
Yeah.
it would just make sense.
And it's so funny because you look at Samsung. Samsung has 2 more S5 devices, but 2 more that I can understand. Okay, the Prime has to be done because LG is going to release a Prime pretty much. We all know that,
Prime
right?
isn't even the Prime. The Prime is the main device.
Right, yeah, but we know that. And then they have the active version, which is now the true waterproof. I understand that too. I mean,
not with the new. I mean, no, you can't really have the active with the waterproof S5 now.
No, it's water resistant. Don't call your phone waterproof. Do not do that. I'm serious. It is not waterproof.
You're right.
That's what every reviewer has fooled everyone out there to think the S5 is. It's not waterproof. That's why the Active is coming out, because it's a true waterproof phone, kind of like those Casio phones that are like, you know, rugged and just.
I really really wish Samsung would come out with another Rugby.
Yes, the Rugby too. Yeah.
My favorite phones is that Rugby.
You guys are old, man. You guys are really.
I would tell you something funny with the Rugby quickly before we continue. I had the Rugby. I did a stress test review. I threw it in my dryer, threw it outside, all that fun stuff. Nothing. Did my review, threw it up. I went to go see my little cousins. They're like, "What phone do you have?" I'm like, "Check this out. This phone doesn't break." Whoop. They just stood there and looked at me like, really? I'm like, yeah.
No.
I'm sorry.
So this Rugby is the Rugby I did my review on, and I froze it into a block of ice, and I didn't have the back cover sealed completely when I did that. So water got into the battery compartment and then froze and then thawed, and it still works fine today. So I don't do a lot of drop testing because you'll still shatter the screen on a bad drop test.
Yeah.
But I mean, when it came to, like, this is the phone that I use for working out. I'll pop my SIM in it just to go for a jog because I don't care if I get this gross and sweaty, and to clean it is super, super easy. So I really wish Samsung would give us a re-up on this. A small form factor, reduced specs, obviously, but just bulletproof, hardcore, rugged plastic design. I love this phone.
Cool. Okay. I was just checking out. I was hearing some noise, like some scratching, and I figured I just realized it was Lex. So Lex, if you hear me, I just muted you because there's some scratching on your end, all there. But anyway,
his mic on his shirt or something.
Oh yeah, your mic is close to your shirt, so be careful.
With your better wardrobe than me. Whatever. Yeah. You're not better than me.
So just be careful with that. So moving on from. We can still hear it. But moving on from the HTC One Mini 2, Samsung sent out a press release for an event. I forgot what the tagline was called again. But anyway, it's about a new Galaxy Tab in colors, but it's called the Galaxy Premiere event. So, thoughts? What do you think Samsung's going to release? Is it going to be just tablets, or do you think it'll be tablets and the Galaxy S5 Prime? Thoughts?
Is the scratching still going on?
Yeah, it is still going on.
Let me change the headphones.
Juan, what are your thoughts?
I'm curious to see what they release. Samsung is an everything in the kitchen sink kind of company, so I wouldn't be surprised to see we've got tablets and the Prime, and here's a sneak peek at the Note, and we're making a space shuttle, and here's a new sink that has water and S-Health built into it, and here's a water bottle that can track your movements. I mean, like, it's Samsung. I wouldn't put anything past them, and I think that they'll probably have pretty high production value for their announcement as well.
Okay, I agree with you there because it's going to be at the theater at the Madison MSG. So basically, it's big. You know, this is bigger than what they had for the S5 launch in the U.S. anyway. In the U.S.
The S5 launch was an afterthought, much like the Galaxy Note 3 launch in the U.S. was an afterthought.
Yeah, so, and the tagline is tab into colors.
Thanks, OG Wilson.
So it might be that Premiere tablet and the Galaxy S Prime at the same time. So it's like the the prime stuff, like the primers.
So, do you think this will be the 13-inch tablet that they've been rumoring?
In colors, I don't know. Because the tagline says tab in color. So, and you have 3 different color shades in the thing.
Well,
So.
I think tab in the colors meaning more so that this is going to be that 2K or 4K tablet.
Yeah, maybe. So maybe it's that 4K tablet, and then it's the 4K phone together, and it's just
the brand. It's the Samsung Galaxy Round.
And it's just
round.
Okay.
Round. Anybody know what round is?
Yeah.
I think you guys are too old for that one. I don't know.
No, it's actually none. Most of you guys aren't from New England, so you wouldn't know. That's actually a restaurant in Rhode Island. It's a restaurant chain.
Yep.
Round.
Yari Zabihib says it's tablet and it's the Galaxy Cube. It's coming out.
Cube.
What is that? Cube.
It's the Galaxy Cube. So I guess we all agree in a consensus that it's going to be a big show, and Samsung
We're going to get another Play. And everyone will complain.
I actually like the Play.
I did too, but everyone will complain.
Yeah, there was so much flack about that Samsung press event for the Galaxy S4 last year. I was like,
it was out of control.
It was fine.
It was
you know what? I'm fine. I'm fine with a company doing something different. You gotta try. After that, and we saw Apple's press conference that I wanted to shoot myself.
Oh yeah, that was really dull.
Where I was on Twitter and I told Andrew, I'm like, call me when you're done. I'm going to go watch Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, you left me. You left me.
Yeah, Juan was there too. I was like,
tweeting it, and
I think I was at work when they were.
Yeah, you were at work.
And I was just kind of like, I'm gonna go actually do my job now.
I just said, look, guys, I'm gonna watch, and I sat down, I watched Dragon Ball Z, and I was fulfilled with my life compared to that stuff that was about to kill me. So
I mean, like,
Apple doesn't need to exude its greatness. So I mean,
they do actually right now.
Yeah.
They need to get back on that train. No, I'll take a corny Samsung, a cornball cheeseball Samsung press event over Apple's.
If you're gonna make me sit through an hour-long event or hour-plus long event, I want a free phone. That's just how it's gonna be. I'm sorry. This is how I feel.
Oh really?
It seems like the longer the event, the less chance you get anything free.
That's how it goes now.
If it's shorter, you might, because they want you out the window. You're like,
well, why do you need the phone now? We showed you everything it can do in the press event. That's why our press event was 4 hours long, so that you could see it all.
Yari says they're gonna have a player device like Apple TV. It's gonna be a cubic, so at least the project name is Cube. I've never heard these rumors, but
I haven't seen.
They must have come out today.
I mean, they've had something like the Home Sync before, which was kind of that idea, but they kind of never released it here in the U.S. So.
And it's Samsung, so I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if they did something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess maybe Amazon Fire TV or something.
Yeah, who knows? So anyway, moving on from Samsung, which we know is going to be a spectacle. Verizon is going to be launching XLTE. Yeah!
All right, let me already just complain about this.
I knew Mario was going to say something, so get it rolling.
Seriously, I don't understand these companies having to brand something separate every single time. Can't we just call something 4G? The whole point of LTE in the beginning was to get everyone on the same damn thing, doing the same things, not having to worry about a network, having a global infrastructure where all these guys can use their networks to support one another, be able to make money off of one another, and not have to worry about branding and making it very easy for the consumer to understand what they're getting. And I mean, Verizon, you're the king of this. You're trying so much to just make it as confusing and as different, and you're trying to separate yourself on this little lonely island. Like I don't get it. 4G XLTE. Like, how are you gonna brand that? You gonna slap that in the back of my phone too?
Yeah.
Can you describe it better? Like XLTE. What is that?
It's the same thing.
It's AWS 700 Spectrum.
Spectrum is it's what T-Mobile is doing right now. That's literally it. Yeah. T-Mobile has AWS through Metro PCS, and they're using that to improve the LTE across the board, which is why the LTE signal has been improving on a vast range.
Yeah.
And that's what Verizon is just going to do. Simple. And T-Mobile just doesn't do that because T-Mobile is like, you know what, join our network is free. Come on.
Yeah.
You got to pay anything. And people are responding to that, not XLTE and going,
well,
is this XFL?
Isn't part of Sprint's marketing message now, because they're cannibalizing their old IDEN network for better building penetration, the 800 megahertz spectrum that they had. What is it that they're calling theirs? It's something funky too.
Spark.
Every time I download something, or it's like there's this little icon that just spins at the top of my phone. What is that?
That's Spark.
They haven't fully explained Spark. I think they kind of have, but kind of haven't.
It's the same thing as it's just the same process. It's using 800 spectrum to boost the LTE overall. That's it. It's done. There's nothing spectacular, which is why
they're not selling it, right? They're just saying it's LTE XL. They're not giving you like a higher price for it, right?
No, it's basically their way of rebranding their horrendous LTE that they originally launched with. So they, instead of them saying we have 4G LTE, they just said they're more going to say we have 4G LTE powered by a Spark network. It's just a different way to brand it.
Yeah,
essentially. Which that's fine. I'm fine with that because it still says 4G LTE in it.
I don't ever have that connection, but I mean I understand.
No, because Spark is not in your area yet. I realize that it will still show, but if it's not up, if you don't say it's up and running, then you're not going to get any of those.
Well, they're still trying to execute the old remnants of their network vision campaign, trying to reduce all of the different boxes that were at each of their tower sites.
They're destroying WiMAX, right? 4G LTE.
Yeah.
They still have to support it for a little while though, because isn't that what Clearwire is built mostly on? Is WiMAX?
Yeah,
that's all WiMAX.
I remember my Evo 4G LTE, baby. WiMAX 4G.
Oh no, I was first Galaxy S on that, man. I had my Epic.
Yeah, and your 3G speeds were faster than
Samsung Galaxy S2 Epic 4G Touch.
Palm Pre Day.
I think I still have one of those sitting around here somewhere.
One's like, let me dig into the trove.
I was thinking about getting a Relic and buying a Palm Pre again. So
that's a bad idea. He does have it. Awesome.
Yeah.
The longest name for a phone ever.
Yeah. No, it's just it's crazy. It's that kind of stuff, which to me is really sad. But then you have ATE pushing a voice over LTE, which to me is more important than just
more important.
That rebranding next week is rolling out next week. So it's at least AT&T has its mind on the ball. To me, it's that kind of thing that's silly where for T-Mobile is doing what you're rebranding, but they're not even talking about that. They're just showing people that our network is getting better. And then we are not charging you, all these carrier rates. And then AT&T is like, you know what? Let's just give you better sound overall, so that when you make that phone call, it doesn't sound like crap and it doesn't drop. So it's.
T-Mobile was pretty awesome. For the first time ever, I went over my data cap, and it gave me a message as soon as I went over my cap. It said, "Listen, you went over your cap. We're just gonna slow down your speeds. Don't worry about overages." And then the speeds weren't that bad. I might say it was maybe a bad 3G connection. So
yeah,
but
for me, it's not the same because. But then again, I'm an abuser. I usually go about I'm at an extra 3 to 4 gigabytes over my cap.
Oh man, I use the Wi-Fi a lot.
I don't.
Verizon Unlimited, never getting rid of it. Leave that company.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it on that aspect. Another news: Apple and Motorola have become friends in financial ways.
Let's hope not again. No more rockeries.
Yeah. So basically, Apple and Motorola settled on their lawsuits, so there'll be no more lawsuits between them, which should have happened a long time ago.
No. Apple's going thermonuclear. Thermonuclear on Android.
Yeah,
it's copiers. They just copied everything, and we're gonna go thermonuclear and destroy them.
Yeah. I guess so. But it's good to see it's over.
Ham.
Well, we knew that once Google was actually in the fight, that Apple backs down. Apple doesn't fight Google. Apple tries to undermine Android by going after individual manufacturers. That's their game. This whole continuing lawsuits between Apple and Samsung is totally specious, and if you have a problem with the ecosystem, you don't go after a manufacturer of the ecosystem, you go after who created the ecosystem. And they had lawsuits in against Motorola. But once Google bought out Motorola, well, the tone of that conversation changed PDQ, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and yeah, that well, I guess we could move away from that one because we're tired
No, I
of
mean, like, I think
lawsuits.
it's a step in the right direction because it makes it harder for Apple to engage in other future lawsuits because the
Yeah.
main linchpin of the ecosystem is Google, and they are not wanting to get into. It's like, you don't want to get into a land war in Asia. Like, you don't want to fight Google, like, directly.
Yeah,
So if especially in future lawsuits against Samsung can say, like, hey man, you're suing us over something that was built by Google. This is an
Google.
Android product. Why are we shouldering the lawsuit for that? And I think you actually have, I mean, I'm way oversimplifying, obviously, but I think you actually have a pretty good legal talking point when you're in the courtroom to say, this isn't an us thing. We
Yeah.
didn't make this. Why are we getting sued for it?
Sue for it. Yeah, exactly. It's very true.
I mean, Microsoft's doing the right thing. They've just got money from it, so I feel like
Well,
Apple should have
I
went
mean,
to maybe the Apple.
well, true. But I think Microsoft understood. I mean, to me, Microsoft understood the business aspect of having patents. You
Yeah.
just get money for it. You don't go and sue up the wazoo. You may threaten to sue, but you don't actually sue.
Well, and I
You
think
know?
I think we're seeing from Apple this is the remnants of an emotional campaign that Steve Jobs started.
Yeah. You know.
For him, the iPhone was this very precious thing that he wanted to sort of protect.
Jesus phone.
I love, yeah.
Let's be honest. It is a Jesus phone. Let's be honest.
All right.
Well.
Mute. Yep. There we go.
Yeah,
Alex is one of you.
that was your one.
I get two more. I get two more.
No, you get one. That was it.
One. Next one is gonna be boot out. Eject. I have the eject button right here.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, just checking. But anyway, moving on from Apple to Windows. Windows Phone added some new partners, but what is more surprising is also the amount of leaked new Windows phones coming out.
Mhm.
LG Windows Phone leaked also. We know HTC is working on one that looks like the M8. We don't even have to guess. We know it will be the M8.
That's the phone I want. I want that phone badly.
And then we had new partners from Blue, the low-end Android manufacturer, or the mid-range Android manufacturer, and another partner, which I cannot remember the name off my head for some reason, K-Touch. So it looks like Windows Phone is picking up manufacturers, especially just because it's easier to port hardware over if you have Android hardware, pre-existing Android hardware, and also just on the low cost side. I think this is a promising sign for Windows Phone. It looks like, for me, this is more of that traction they need, especially with LG, because I look at it that if once the LG G3 hits, LG is really going to be like that pumped up, company. And then they having a Windows Phone following up just shows that, for Microsoft, that's a good thing coming down the line. So any general thoughts on all these Windows Phone happenings?
Starting with
You.
Okay.
Yes,
No,
since you spoke.
You volunteered.
I think it's a combination of two things. I think it's a combination of it actually being free now. It doesn't cost whatever X amount of dollars it used to cost to put Windows on your system. And then two, it's just the fact that Windows 8.1 is badass. So it's like you finally have a modern day software that you can put on like pretty good spec device. I mean, Windows 8 was okay, but I mean, if you're looking towards the future in terms of consumer, you got to have things like the notification bar, you got to have Wi-Fi settings, things like that. So it's an overall win for them, and it's also like Microsoft backing the brand, so you really can't hurt you.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree, and especially from what we've been talking about in the past, it's. I think it's easier. Not me. I'm speaking like I've manufactured phones. It
Oh
seems
yes,
to
you
be-
have. You
It
have.
seems to be a little bit easier to craft a mid-range experience that doesn't punish you for using lower-end hardware on Windows Phone. Even with the 8.1 update, and I'm going back to the Lumia 520, I'm going back to the Lumia 925, dual-core phones with less RAM than our premier Android flagships, and they still feel like competitive devices. They're not, bleeding edge by any stretch of the imagination, or not even cutting edge by any stretch of the imagination. But it's still a very functional user experience, even now into our third major Windows Phone update. And adding features like Cortana hasn't destroyed the experience, whereas I kind of feel like if you even get the update on Android, sometimes you don't get the best performance. Same thing with Apple. If you're 2 generations old on an Apple device and you get the newest OS update, sometimes it feels like an incomplete experience. And I think Microsoft has done a much better job of managing mid-range and low-end hardware for that kind of user experience.
Yeah, I agree.
Warren?
Yeah, I think the main reason this is happening is because Microsoft pretty much allowed Android spec hardware to work with Windows Phone, and now the OS is free, so it just basically makes it a lot easier for manufacturers to make one design and just throw an operating system on it and call it a day.
Yeah, true. I definitely agree. I definitely agree that.
And it's also, I think it's an opportunity for companies like LG and HTC, like what Lex was saying. You take the guts of the G3. You don't need to give it to me in metal. You just need to show the Windows Phone community some love. Throw it in a plastic unibody or the polycarb unibody that we've seen in the past, and call it a day. I mean, your development process is mostly done. And you get to save a little cash by going with a cheaper build quality. But for Windows Phone users, it's another opportunity for competition in the marketplace. So we're just going to be happy.
Yeah, definitely true. Yari says, shouldn't MS come up with a Nokia flagship for the next Windows Phone just since they own it? They will.
Well, and I think we're going to see the Lumia 930 be the first.
Which is pretty much like a rebranded Lumia icon, right?
Yeah, it does have better microphones, better speakers, a couple of hardware tweaks on those, but the microphones are definitely much better, especially recorded audio. So
really?
Yeah,
the icon is no slouch, man. And
no.
And the 1520 go head to head pretty well.
I'm not saying this is. I'm just saying that from what I saw, like it just sounded much better. Like they actually just took and recorded right there, and they're like, "Yeah, listen." I was like, "Okay, yeah, it's better." But then again, I could have been drinking, so who knows?
This ain't Sprint. This ain't the Evo.
Going back to
a reoccurring joke you hear a lot of us, Thunder bring up a lot.
I mean, the Evo 3D was an amazing device, according to Thunder.
Gorgeous device.
Ooh, yeah.
To our hands-ons.
Yeah, that's right. I apologize again. I'm really sorry.
Going back to Juan's point about the lower tier devices getting the Windows 8.1 update though, like we've done a video with that, and when a consumer gets that, it's almost like a wow factor that they get the latest and greatest, and then they use all these new features, and there's no difference in almost quality. Because Windows Phone is always giving this illusion of speed with the animations that they have and things like that, and 8.1 just really gives that the same kind of feeling, and people really love that, the fact that they can have a $70 phone and get the latest that flagship device is running with no lack of features whatsoever.
Yeah, so, no, and I think that brings a point to just going back quickly to the Moto E, is that when you use it, you really feel like, oh, I'm using an Android phone. Now, of course, this is because it has none of those overlays that you find in there. But going back to Windows Phone, and I'm just jumping back and forth, I know you did the review of the Ativ SE, Alex. What I didn't see was a lot of true Samsung features. And now we know that Samsung really just made this phone hardware-wise. Like, we'll give you the hardware of the S5 and the body of the S4 and just throw it in and give you as a Windows phone. But we didn't see some of those Samsung features. I actually wanted to see, because 8.1, it doesn't actually support 8.1 off the bat. That's probably why. Because 8.1 supports gesture controls and all that stuff. I wanted to see some of that in there. Like, fine, just throw some of that into a Windows phone, because that differentiates the Samsung Windows phone from a Nokia Windows phone, like off the bat right there. We all know Nokia is the camera king and they do other little things. But if I had my gestures and some of those, Galaxy experiences, even, some type of an S Pen feature, or at least you could write on there.
Yeah, they have just a small suite of apps like Samsung Link, Samsung Ativ Beam. They're almost just rebranding it once they have it on their Android devices, but nothing really tailored to the hardware. So it might come down the road.
Did you load the 8.1 preview on that Ativ?
Yep, and it came with no Cortana.
Really?
Yep, no Cortana. It was horrible.
Wow. So I was going to ask because I have 8.1 on the Neo. And the thing that bothered me about the Neo is it broke the camera button. So there's no camera app linked to the camera button on 8.1. If you run the developer preview of 8.1 on the Ativ S Neo.
Yeah, well, like there's certain issues with like I guess the touch sensitivity with the upgrade. So for some reason I'll lock the screen and I won't be able to unlock the screen 5 seconds afterwards. And sometimes I have to take the battery out and install it. Samsung just totally screwed that. I mean, they should have tailor-made it better for the update, knowing it was coming. But
Well, it's still beta. The official update is.
Yeah, I mean, it's still developer preview, but I mean, considering what Nokia devices have been like.
my 520 runs a lot better than that. I'll say that right now.
And the Team SE is a Snapdragon 800 with 2 gigs of RAM.
2 in RAM, 30, yeah, all the high specs you need, and it's not the same. So.
That's a shoe-on job right there. Yeah. Okay. Right, guys. Before we round up, anything else we missed this week? This is kind of a quick show. Anything you want to chime in? Any news topics?
Actually, we covered everything.
I think we covered everything.
Did we talk about Interstellar by chance?
Oh. Yes, yeah. I mean, we could talk about it briefly.
Briefly, please. I mean, we just got to all hail Christopher Nolan for a second, please. Just hail him again.
Well, the one thing I didn't say before when we talked about it is I'm actually really excited to see a Christopher Nolan film that isn't a comic book property.
Well, he did, the Dream movie.
No, I know. I mean, I really liked Inception, and Inception in Hollywood is still viewed as being this sort of happy accident, and I completely disagreed. Like no one wants to see a brand new IP that no one has ever seen before that's not going to be a franchise. That can't make money. And then it went and like broke a whole bunch of sales records. So I'm stoked to see him tackle another original story, and especially after the success of films like Gravity. Like I think smart sci-fi has a place in cinema if you market it properly and you give us a smart and human story.
I was telling him about the same thing. I'm like, I'm surprised no one has really done this the way Christopher Nolan has done it, and it's like a space movie. Like people are intrigued by space, a lot. So
okay, I missed everything in this conversation.
Well, and especially with like Cosmos on TV with Neil deGrasse Tyson and stuff like
Great
that.
Show. Yeah.
Perfect. What's this about?
It's the trailer for Christopher Nolan's Interstellar.
What's Interstellar?
Is its new movie. It's about.
What is Interstellar?
Is this an original IP, not from a book?
It's original from he and his brother wrote it.
So don't blame me for being shocked about this. When the hell do we do anything that's not from something else?
Well, and that's
somebody actually pulled something out of their ass and was allowed to put it on a screen.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, but see, all his movies have been either original or comic book. That's pretty much it. Remember, going back to Memento, that was an awesome movie.
Oh, I mean, you can take it back to Following.
Following, yes.
My favorite movie from Christopher Nolan's The Prestige. I love that movie.
Yeah.
And the Prestige. All his movies.
This is all wish-wash to me. The most important thing and the most important announcement that we didn't even talk about 2 weeks ago was the fact that next month we are getting Girl Meets World, the sequel to the reimagining of Boy Meets World.
Can you mute him, please? Can you mute him?
No, sorry, you don't understand. If you were like maybe 2 years old, maybe 2 months old when this show came out, this show changed lives.
Disney Channel shows reruns. I like the show, but it's a lot better right now.
All right, since we've now drifted into an entertainment conversation, I'm gonna just give you a poll question because we know the biggest news was Batfleck with his costume. What do you think? Yes or no, or yeah or no, whatever it is. I'm gonna start with Warren. Ben Affleck in his costume. What do you think?
Fine, I didn't have any problems with it. We're not seeing much other than him posing like this in a Batman suit, which you can only do the Batman suit so many damn ways. And then whatever the car is, it's like the Batmobile. It's like somebody's gonna be pissed on the internet about it. So what else is new?
Well, majority of the internet loves it. Actually, I would say it's about like a 95% of, which is weird, especially the fact that they generally hated Ben Affleck as Batman.
Because they were all wrong. The internet was wrong about.
I knew they were going to be wrong.
I mean, to me, I was just like, oh, I didn't go in when Ben Affleck was announced as Batman with all this extra negative vibe or negative precedence to it. I'm like, well, the guy just won an Academy Award for a movie he directed and started. I think he can probably pull Batman off. So I'm not gonna knock him. And also, he's a Boston kid, so I'm not gonna knock him. I'm gonna support him a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like, he did he's doing his thing. I mean, this guy came from Geely and J-Lo to winning Best Motion Picture for a movie he directed.
It's
hard. It's like this dude is on his LeBron James right now. You can't really knock him. He's on his LeBron. He's on his Kobe. His
No,
'08
he's on his
Celtics
LeBron.
right now.
He's on his
Yeah.
LeBron.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you liked it. How about you, Alex?
I loved it. I mean, it's a shame that the internet made it a meme and ruined it completely. But
I haven't seen the meme yet.
other than that, I mean, I love the image itself speaks volumes to me. I mean, going back to Juan a couple days ago with his voiceover of Snyder, I mean, it was great. So I just completely love the photo. I think it's awesome.
How about you, Juan? I know we've talked about this, but just generally.
Right. No, I was on board, and it's you can kind of, one of the things that makes me happy about internet fandom is when we finally like get over all of our pissy bitchy phase, and we can kind of like just appreciate that I think this is really cool design. It's very Frank Miller, the short little bat ears, but then how it also sort of went into this almost immediate parody, where that image, because he's sort of
Sad
standing
Batman,
there like
yeah.
sad Batman, and so
Yeah.
it was like it got embraced to the point where we could also still make fun of it, and
Yeah.
you kind of have to love something to make fun of it the way that people have. So I mean, I've even seen like sad Batman, I'm gonna grill some hot dogs, and he's like wearing a Superman apron, it's been great seeing that kind of a response. It gives me a little bit more hope that the film will be well received.
Well, it started filming yesterday. Oh, I think
Awesome.
2 days ago. But yeah, it's good to see that, and at least in that aspect there.
I look at this and I guess it's memes. I don't know. It looks badass to me. It looks like that Frank Miller style, like you said, which I'm very fan of because I really like the Sin City things, and it feels like that's this vibe is going to be. This might even be I don't know how dark the movie's going to get, but it looks fine, looks good. But what we should be talking about more to Torrid is Channing Tatum as Gambit. What
Oh
the,
yeah,
what the fuck? I'm just gonna say that right there.
yeah. We
Give him a chance. Give him a chance.
we touched on that already. So
They gave him a chance in G.I. Joe too.
all I can tell you guys is that once Warren found this out, he put out a meme of Channing Tatum in what's that dance movie again?
Oh, that dance movie where he's sliding across the car.
He slides across the car and he goes like this.
Not even he's like this. Like,
oh yeah, it's like this. yeah, exactly. So.
Oh man, that's that funny thing. That's the first time I ever saw Channing Tatum. That was from a music video, and I saw that, and I was like, "Why is he sliding across this car? Like, what is he doing?" Well,
Yeah.
I could never take him anything serious.
It'll be a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be good.
No, on one thing I wanted to mention is it's been running around the news this week is Game of Thrones author basically came out and says that he uses an MS-DOS computer.
Yeah, he uses
Right.
WordStar 4.0 to actually type Game of Thrones in.
I feel sorry for him. I really do.
No, he does it on purpose.
I don't.
I know, because he's autocorrect, which is, I mean, I understand that as a writer, but
he hates autocorrect.
yeah,
You could train it to not do certain things. He could have put the words and obviously save and don't autocorrect this word, but
it's a long process, especially when you're creating a lot of fictional characters and fictional places and fictional things all together. Stuff like Winterfell, Daenerys Targaryen.
Especially when he's gonna make up words up top of his head, and then he might even change that name at some point as well too. He might I call it this, and then let's say Daenerys' name was something different. He wanted to make a different name for it.
You might as well use a typewriter. Forget the computers. Use a typewriter.
You can't go back and correct typewriter.
Yeah, he can still at least go back and delete.
You know what? I don't blame him because there's probably a lot of writers that do very similar things. They probably have basic text editors that they write with.
That's absolutely what I think the situation is, because the second I fire up my computer to write an article or to edit some video, I don't really do that. I get alerts and I get notifications and I check my YouTube comments and I'm on Google Plus and I tweet, and then I get around to actually getting my work done. And I can totally see where someone who's got to keep that much crap straight in his head with what's going to be going on with all of these characters just wants to see a plain blank screen with a little prompt.
I mean, even WordPress itself, if you edit on WordPress, it's a distraction-free mode.
I use King's Office, and I use it on my all-in-one Android desktop, which doesn't show any miscorrections at all. So that's kind of what I use to type articles.
You know, I mean, there's even distraction-free things like, I think OneNote has that mode. I think Word has that mode as well too. I actually use that on OneNote where I tend to start typing in OneNote and kind of.
Oh, but my problem is a bit more holistic than that, where even if I turn distractions or notifications off on one system, then I'm probably also wearing a watch. I probably have another phone on that's vibrating. I'm probably getting alerts from something else. And so since I'm already sitting in front of the computer, if I see like I got a tweet on my phone from my watch, and then I'm in a web browser, like, well, if I'm going to reply to it, I might as well just pull up Twitter on my computer where I've got like a full keyboard. And so I could totally see where he's probably not rocking a bunch of like smartphone and notification kind of gear.
He has another computer he does everything else on. He does say he has a more modern computer for those things.
Which means that he goes to that table and he sits down and is like, it's time for the last chapter of Fire and Ice. Let's do this.
It's time to write. It's time to write. And I can totally see where everything else is shut off and he's just got his workstation.
And we're just writing little baby articles, you know. We're not writing anything that the level that this guy's writing at.
Yeah.
I mean, my own process, I actually kind of like to get, I'll write heavy, and I actually like to get distracted because that makes me go back and think about what I've written and add more to it. I actually like to get off of it, then come back onto it with another perspective, you know. And that kind of helps me write a little bit better because sometimes I can get one track and you look at something for way too long, and we're not at the process where we have, you know, copy editors and stuff like that are going through our articles and hammering at them. We're all just really self-publishing.
Yeah.
Well, I have ADHD.
You almost have to create your own process, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very true. Very true. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I was going to mention something else, but we can talk about this after.
Oh, and we don't even need to spend a lot of time on it, but it's always worth reiterating. The FCC passed those net neutrality rules. Contact not law enforcement. Contact elected officials.
Well, we might as well contact law enforcement.
Yeah, but you know, spread the word. We got to keep this conversation going. We've got about 2 months before of public review before those rules go into effect. And I think
the fortunate thing that I'm with this is that I swear things like this do not get attention until we start getting into Senate and government. Like we start getting into the high levels of things is when all of a sudden people give a damn. Just like with the whole contract and fees issue that happened with cell phones. It wasn't until the Senate and big players in the U.S. Senate started being concerned about this that the change was like that. It was like night and day.
And I think this is a complicated enough issue because there's really no good metaphor to describe what net neutrality is for people. A bunch of people have tried. It's like driving a car and paying for gas. It's like paying for electricity. It's all these different things.
Yeah.
But my big fear is that people won't really notice the effects of net neutrality until it's already dead.
Yeah.
You know, like when bills start going up for services like Hulu and Netflix, when your services start getting throttled, that's when people will notice, and that's when it's way too late.
And internet isn't considered a utility yet, right? Like a common utility that everyone needs.
I don't see how, but yeah, it's not yet.
No, it's
it's like electricity. I mean, it's on the same level of electricity, you know?
or just your telephone network, yeah.
Yeah, it runs everything now. I mean, if you take it off the grid, we don't know how to exist.
It's gonna take.
Oh, I do not exist.
It's gonna take It's gonna take literally one or two high-profile senators or representatives that get sworn by this deal before, boom, all of a sudden stuff starts to change because they won't care until it affects them. Trust me, the whole Senate, the whole bill over the whole cell phone thing didn't start working. It didn't start happening until one of them couldn't get the new iPhone. That's what sparked it off.
Right.
This ain't right. And then they,
until that time, anyone who's watching this, and I'm sure anyone who's watching this is savvy enough to understand some of the implications of what will happen should we.
Are elections coming up anytime soon? Because we can get one of them to jump on this to get a platform going. Trust me, when elections they need some votes. Oh, they'll be jumping on this.
Midterms are coming up, but yeah, like Juan said, just keep pressing, let people know, and
keep spreading the word, keep fighting the good fight.
Yeah, so anyway, let's look at, we have a bunch of comments before we round up. First one is from Sam, a.k.a. Black Iron Man. He says, watching from the gym. I like Dr. Alex's classics. Great show. Dr. Alex.
Yeah, I feel like every week I'm just gonna have to deal with this, so I'm just gonna accept it and move on.
Yeah, and then
I'm telling you, he looks like he could be on the Cosby Show, like he feels best friend, and then he went over to then he went to a different world and went to college there.
wait, and then
Rap world.
OG Wilson has a comment here. This is probably from the HTC One. I'm getting tired of HTC calling these phones mini when they're just a few millimeters shorter than the base device. Very true.
Well, and I was just kind of pulling it up. I mean, like here, I don't know if I can show this. Like, this is the M8 and this is the M7, and I'm assuming that the Mini 2 is going to be just a little bit smaller than the M7.
Yeah.
So, like that's not going to be just kind of like how the Mini was against the M7.
No.
It's not really.
Well, mini's a very like a deceiving word because mini just implies that it's smaller, but it's not smaller. It's not.
You get a mini experience compared to the bigger device.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that one.
That's probably what it is. Yari says, thank you all for the episode. Thank you very much, man, for joining in. Anyone going to WWDC by any chance? Nope. Apple doesn't like us in any form of fashion. I will be going to E3, though, so stay tuned for all that stuff.
The man is finally going to get to an E3.
Yeah, no, finally. Matt Copeland says, the Batfleck suit of the Dark Knight Returns. Yes, they did.
Yep.
And then Breadcrumb says, have I missed a chat about Loot Crate?
I didn't know that we were going to be discussing Loot Crate, but we can do that in another another hangout if that's what you're into.
Yeah, let us know. Chime in. And Lou Rod said, Godzilla was awesome. Yeah.
Now, I actually wanted to ask a question about that. Now, I saw your review, and Unbound was great, but a lot of people don't like it. I don't understand.
A lot of people are just...
A lot of people are dumb.
Say useless. Say useless.
I was gonna say that, but a lot of people are. You know what? People went with a different perception, thinking this was a monster movie from the very beginning to the end. But that's a very bad way to make a monster movie. There must be some suspense, some drama, all that stuff together, and then of course.
That's pretty obvious in the trailers. That's what that is.
Yeah, I know.
they give literally everything away in the trailers on what this is.
It is
Godzilla. He comes around. He fucks shit up, and we got to worry about the dynamics around him fucking shit up. How hard is that to understand?
Yeah.
I like deep movies. Like you got to go into the entirety of a film. Like not just we have two monsters and they're gonna fight each other. Like.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you want that, you can go rewatch Pacific Rim. I mean, I'm serious. Like it's a big dumb movie with giant robots fighting giant monsters.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was meant to be. So it makes sense. Gamers Going Crazy 03 says, hope I get to see you at E3. Me too. Let me know. And actually, just hit me up on Twitter. It's Booredatwork, so we can connect. And then he also asked the question, what do you guys think about Transformers 4? They had a new trailer.
I have no interest in Transformers.
Yeah.
I've never been a Transformers guy, so.
Transformers was a huge part of my childhood, and after the first film, I haven't seen any of the others.
Yeah,
I've never been in the Transformers. Even as a kid, it was just like.
I was going to do the trailer review, but then I watched it and I just decided to.
I mean, like
do something else.
It looks like it's going to be another Michael Bay joint. A ton
ever
of
since
noise and explosions and Dinobots and.
It's a real good film to use. It's a real good film to use when you need to do screen tests in your reviews. That's what it is for me, at least. Other than that, I'm just like, Transformers is not something I know a lot of people love that property. It's just not my thing. It's like dancing robots. I'd rather watch Power Rangers. It's the same thing. But you get.
And then Matt.
Power Rangers movie is coming, by the way.
Yes, it is. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Matt Copeland says The Flash looks terrible. I disagree. It's a TV show, and I actually liked it.
I'm going to be giving it a shot, and I really liked I've been a fan of Arrow, so I'm on board. At least have me for the first half a season, and it's their ball to fumble.
Exactly. I will say this though, still an entertainment note. I don't know if you guys have read this book. Sam introduced me to this book. It's called The Martian. It is a great read. They're going to turn it into a movie with what's his name, the other Boston guy. Come on, help me out.
There's a lot
Matt
of
Damon?
awesome guys.
Yeah, Matt Damon. Yes, Matt Damon. Matt Damon, and it's going to be directed by Ridley Scott.
Ooh, okay.
It's about an astronaut who basically is stranded on Mars, and he MacGyvers his way out of that shit. And I mean, seriously, it's
Why
written
has there been a MacGyver remake or movie? Speaking
Yeah.
of that,
the book is written
Oh,
by
Burn Notice comes close.
close. Yeah, it kind of comes close. Yeah, the book is written by a physicist, so he actually breaks down everything he does to
Awesome.
get out of trouble. So, but they're making it into movies. I just wanted to just mention that out there.
Interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, thank you very much. Oh, wait a minute. Lou Rod says if you like Sailor Moon, it's coming back in the summer through Viz Media.
Yeah, I saw that they're kind of remaking Sailor Moon. The character models look a little bit different. In other words, their legs are even longer than they were before. And Sailor Moon is one of those most confusing animes ever when you watch as a kid because it comes on TV, you see it, and these little princesses bouncing around. And you're like, what the hell is this? And all of a sudden, things are blowing up on the screen, and you're like, I guess I'll watch this.
Equivalent to a kid being on LSD. I mean,
Yeah.
so,
I mean, but it's like, to me, the Sailor Moon was cool. I remember when I was younger, but that kind of got taken over. Like that kind of got pushed to the side when Powerpuff Girls came out. And it's like the same exact thing to me. Powerpuff Girls is like more of an awesome, more better show from my perspective, though.
Okay, and one last question from Gamers Gone Crazy 03. We take this question, quick one.
Oh, God.
Matt actually answered the question. He asked if you could pick one supercar in this world, which would you pick? Matt Copeland said Ford GT. So any choices, guys? Just roll. Answer.
The Mercedes Electric.
Okay, Mercedes Electric. How about you, Alex?
I guess I'll say Tesla. I don't really have one.
And how about you, Warren?
The car that George Jetson drives.
Okay.
Flying cars.
And I will go with the Ferrari 458. So that's pretty much it, guys. Well, thank you very much for the questions, answering comments, all that fun stuff, making us drift into entertainment talk, and we could do more of that. Who cares?
Yeah, we did everything though. Think about it. We did politics, we did lawsuits, we did gadgets, we did movies, we did cars. I mean, we're pretty much the best.
No. We did not do Beyonce and Solange.
Oh,
we're not going to talk about that. Okay?
There's nothing to say.
We
on
just
that
mentioned them
nonsense.
now. Let's end the show.
No, exactly. So, guys, I'm going to start off with Mr. Warren Bowman from BooredatWork.com. Definitely check out his website, BooredatWork.com. That is the name of the website. And also check him out on YouTube. Subscribe. It's BooredatWork.com in the bottom. Thank you very much for the hand signs. And also,
no longer get in the elevators with girls.
And then
take the stairs.
Take the stairs, man.
And do subscribe to his channel, his Twitter. It's all right there, BW1. Next up is Alex Lex Monnier, who is a contributing writer for both Booredatwork and BW1.
That's how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And what's your Twitter handle?
Lex Omoni.
Okay.
LEXMONIYI.
So that's his Twitter handle. Just making sure that's his Twitter handle right there. So you can definitely follow him on Twitter. And finally, Mr. Juan Bagnell from Some Gadget Guy. Follow him on Some Gadget Guy. Okay, it's enough of that serenading. Thank you very much. You can check him out, Some Gadget Guy on YouTube. Subscribe to his channel. It's got some great long form videos. Also, follow him on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Wherever there's a social media port, he probably has a space there.
I'll be there.
Exactly.
I'll be there.
Some Gadget Guys.
Warren.
Right. Yeah. So and myself, Thunder E from Booredatwork. It's right there, Booredatwork on YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube. Also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that fun stuff.
Hangout sponsored by Nutella.
Yeah, all right.
Before you're done, everyone knows that Chocolate Rain guy, right? Now,
Chocolate Rain.
Yeah, replace Chocolate Rain with Thunder E. Sounds great.
Thunder E.
Thunder.
Oh, I invented that, man. That's
like that.
Let's going back.
I'm gonna mash that up. I'm gonna mash it.
I'm determined to meet that guy to get a sound bite from him just saying Thunder E.
Dun, 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 Thunder E.
All right. On that note, guys, thank you very much, and always enjoy your entertainment.
Bam.
Nutella